It is time for our recruiting report with Otis Kirk, our Arkansas football insider, and he joins us right now over the phone. So, Otis, I know we're going to talk about 3 Arkansas commits right now. They had some pretty big high school football games over the weekend.
Yeah, Jermaine Hamilton Jordan is a kid in Kansas City that committed to Arkansas pretty early. 6'1", about 195 pounds, and he can play linebacker. He plays linebacker for his school, but he can play safety. It's what Arkansas is projecting him to play, which would fit more his size. But I tell you, this is a kid's fast, and his high school, Lincoln Park College, has got him playing. Lincoln College Prep, has got him playing running back as well as linebacker. He's going both ways. The other night he had 10 tackles and 2 sacks, and he got 100. He rushed for 94 yards and 2 touchdowns on only 6 carries. So at running back, so he's playing both ways. Fortunately, blew out Van Horn 55-7. No offense to Dave there, but that was the name of the school. But no, they blew him out, so he didn't have to play the whole game. But no, they're 3-1. He's having a good season. I'll tell you, a kid that committed to Arkansas kind of out of the blue, because everybody was thinking about Keytron Jackson, rightfully so. But when Bryce Stevens out of Oklahoma City, John Marshall, committed to Arkansas, it kind of flew under the radar. I don't think people realize how good this kid is. He can fly, and he had another big game the other night. He caught 3 passes for 152 yards, and they were all touchdowns. And in the season, he's got 16 receptions for 357 yards and 7 touchdowns, and that's in 4 games. And he has so much speed from Oklahoma City, John Marshall. If you're in that area and you get a chance to see this kid play, watch it. He can fly. And Arkansas got a steal there. I'm assuming they're going to hold on to him. But it's just when he committed, it was kind of out of the blue, because everybody's thinking the next receiver is going to be Keytron Jackson. There was even sort, and I had probably said it myself. Because I had been told that they were only going to take one more receiver, and it's going to be Keytron if they could get him. Well, Keytron hadn't made an announcement at that time, and they took Bryce Stevens. So obviously, some of that was, as with recruiting, where they can't comment on the record or really comment. I'm talking about the coaches. It gets out. You have philosophy. But I think one thing with Bryce Stevens, he was just too good to pass up. He plays defense. He had an interception the other night on top of all that other stuff. But the biggest thing with him is just he's got so much speed. But when you can get that kind of separation at wide receiver, I had a guy over the weekend tell me, he said, I'm telling you, and you're going to think I'm crazy, but he said, Bryce Stevens is better than Keytron Jackson. And I said, I don't know about that. But that's what this one guy had seen both of them play in the past or watched a lot of film of them, thinks that Bryce is better than Keytron. I'm not saying that at all, but I do think Arkansas got one heck of a steal. Chase Lowry's another kid. I think you had him on here. Alyssa had him on here on Zoom after he committed from Frisco, Texas. He had an interception the other night to preserve the win against Frisco Independence, a crosstown rival. They beat them 17-14. Frisco did, and Chase really stepped up big there at the end of the game. Had that interception. So, these are players that are making impacts at good schools, good players, and they're all committed to Arkansas, Tara. And I think it's a job that not just Sam Pittman, but his staff have done evaluating these kids. And like I said, especially Bryce Stevens and Jermaine Hamilton Jordan, and Lowry, those were 3 steals. Those are guys that maybe when they committed, they didn't get the ink, or people didn't realize how good they were, because they're not the 4- and 5-star kids, but they're doggone good football players, and Arkansas is going to benefit from all 3 of those kids.
Well, Otis, let's talk about the rest of the 2021 class. What do you think that the Razorbacks still need in that class?
Well, I know a couple of high school kids are priorities. Are Armand Bethea out of Brooklyn, Rasmus Hall up in New York. I had a story about him on Pig Trail Nation and Hogville Net maybe 10 days ago or something like that, a couple of weeks ago. But he's a big offensive tackle. And then Cameron Ball, obviously, is that defensive tackle out of Atlanta that they really want badly. Those are the 2 priorities out of high school, 2 of the priorities, not the only 2. But I'm also hearing another thing. I'm hearing that maybe some of the they're at 19 commitments, so you got 5, 6 spots left, depending on, they've got some placement of some kids. So 5 or 6 spots left, and I'm hearing some of those may go to grad transfers. They signed 5 grad transfers last year and 1 JUCO kid. You had Julius Coates at JUCO, and then you had the 5 grad transfers. And all those grad transfers, Julius Coates and the 5 grad transfers are all making a big impact. Coates is starting, A.J. Reed's your kicker, Felipe Franks is your quarterback. Xavier Kelly is battling with Isaiah Nichols there, but providing good depth on the defensive line. Levi Draper, some more depth at linebacker. And then Jerry Jacobs is your starting cornerback. So, I mean, opposite Monteric Brown. So, I mean, they're all making an impact, all 6 of those older kids that they signed. And I think with the ideal that Arkansas knows playing the SEC is a big guys league, I think they may try to get some more grad transfers. I don't know if it'd be 5. It might. I mean, obviously, if they get some of these high school kids, it won't be 5. But I could see 3 or 4 grad transfers or a JUCO player. The particular JUCO player, Sam really likes to hit the grad transfers in high schools more than the JUCOs. But if you could find a Julius Coates out there type player, it may be a linebacker, tight end, defensive back, defensive line, especially an interior defensive line. And, you know, and we were talking before we went on there, I was talking with Jason, and one thing that may change a lot of this stuff too, Tara, that we never talk about, even on here, is the fact that, you know, some of these seniors can come back next year. So that's going to be this whole season. You could almost there's no visits or stuff. I mean, it's been a weird recruiting season, and it's listen, it's going to get weirder. This whole 2020 has been a strange year, and it's I don't see it. I don't see it changing because you don't know who's coming back. I've never seen it. This is really a tough year to cover this because you don't know. There's so many unknowns, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. But I mean, you know, I do know that they're looking at for some older help too if they get the right. But it's got to be the right fit. All those guys, those 6 kids that I just named, those grad transfers and the JUCO kids, were the right fits and the right personality for Arkansas. And that's what it's got. It's not just let's just go find somebody to come in here. It's find the right fits and you know, and get some experienced players, and I think that's what they're looking for.
And Otis, you were at that game last night at Georgia.
Right.
I'm wondering what you thought about the Razorbacks and how they did.
Well, I thought I was impressed. I mean, everybody had to be impressed with the first half. You're leading the number 4 team in the country 7-5. It would have been 7-2. Except Georgia kicked the field goal in the last play of the game. And then you come out in the second half and you go down and make it 10-5. But I mean, I thought, you know, we ran a story, like I said, on Hogville and Pig Trail Nation prior to the game with a lot of the players missing, and I may have missed 2 or 3, but I had most of them. But there's a lot of guys like Miles Mason, Jarquise McClellan. You had a lot of players. There's others. I mean, a bunch of players that weren't playing, weren't available. Those were some of your depth keys on defense, and I thought the defense simply worked. I thought Sam Pittman hit the best here. After the game, he said, I don't think it was anything in the second half that we did. I don't think we were doing things different in the second half than what we did in the first half. I think we were just about a half step slower to get there on defense because of being worn down, not having enough depth and stuff, and part of it was the fact of what injuries, COVID, whatever. But I thought the team looked a lot better yesterday. Yeah, they made some mistakes, but look, his first game for Felipe Franks and these receivers to work together, I was impressed. It looked like a football team. It looked like an organized. It looked like they were playing with a purpose. The kids played hard, and it looked like they were playing with a purpose. And I don't think, honestly, and this, I hate doing this, but it's not a shot at the last couple or 3 years, even the last 3 years. But it just didn't look like there was always a purpose when they were on the field. I mean, they'd lay down and start and get beat by teams that shouldn't have been on the field with. This team fought the number 4 team, outplayed the number 4 team in the country for about 35 minutes yesterday, and there's something to be said for that.
Well, Otis, you know, they've got Mississippi State coming up next week, or actually this weekend, sorry. They're coming off a big win over LSU. I'm curious what you think about that matchup.
Well, I think, doggone it, that's one I had them to win. I mean, I'm thinking LSU's going to take care of Mississippi State, and Arkansas is going to be on the start and going to kick their butt. But, I mean, Mississippi State goes down and beats the defending national champion in Baton Rouge. Their quarterback goes crazy and over 600 yards passing. So, look, it's the SEC, but I will say this: one thing to think about this game this Saturday. I don't think Mississippi State. I think Georgia's defense. One reason people talk about the offense struggling, Tara, but one reason Georgia's got one of the best defenses. They may have the best defense in the country. And I think Arkansas will move the ball at much better pace against Mississippi State. Therefore, you can also, and you're getting more points, you're getting more yardage, but you're also giving your defense rest when you do that. Yesterday, there were so many times that the defense, and Arkansas's field position can't be worse next week than it was this week. I mean, starting at the 1, the 5, the 7, the 9, you know, it was a 91-yard drive for that touchdown. No, I think they'll go down, and I think they'll play Mississippi State tough. I mean, obviously, it would help to get some of these defensive backs, you know, a lot of these guys were out yesterday, the backups, and it would help to get a lot of those guys back. I think Devin Bush will be back. I don't know about Miles Mason. I don't think McClellan will be. I think Sam said maybe the following week, but it would help to get some of those guys back. I think the offense will keep the defense off the field a little bit more this Saturday. I think it'll be a good game, Tara. I'm not ready to declare Mississippi State the world's greatest because they went to Baton Rouge. I don't think LSU's lost a lot of players. They had players opt out. A lot of the key players off last year's team went to the NFL or graduated. I don't think that LSU I think they got hyped up a lot, and they're always going to be good. LSU's good. But I think Mississippi State is a game that Arkansas, if things fall in place for them, they can be very competitive and possibly, who knows, if you're competitive and you get in the fourth quarter in the SEC, anything can happen in that fourth quarter. We know that.
All right, Otis Kirk, always great talking to you. Thank you so much for your time. We will catch you again next Sunday.
Thank you, Tara.